Hi, I'm Brandy Weaver again, Countdown to Kindergarten Teacher, wanting to go over the things we do for visits 3 and 4 whenever we do our Countdown to Kindergarten visits during the summer to the children's houses. Visit 3 is actually my favorite visit. It's about my favorite subject, math. And I absolutely love the materials that the kids get for visit number 3. So many different things that you can do with them. And again, it's such an eye-opener for the parents because a lot of times the parents don't realize that there are certain things with math that the child needs to know. They think that just because they can count to 100 or they can count to 20 or they can read the numbers on the phone that they understand math. And that is just not the case. The children need to be able to identify the numbers, yes, but they need to understand what the quantity means, as well as read the number word. And a lot of times the number words don't look like they're spelled the way that they should sound. So that's another tricky thing within itself with the kindergarten child. So let me get started with what we do for our math lesson number 3. Again, we would look at our sheet where we have our timeline set up and try to adhere to it. At the end of the visit, the teacher will record their findings from that visit to note anything that they just think is important, what the child liked, what the child didn't like, what the child picked up on, what you could see that maybe you need to work on in the classroom. So the first thing we do whenever we start the visit is we start with a book and we read 10 Black Dots. Cute story. Talks about using different dots to make different pictures, as well as the circles themselves making that connection of what the number means. When they see 4 in a row, that stands for 4. Really good book of things that you can make with 10 dots. And then at the end, it has a picture to show, okay, here's the number. Here is the dots that correspond to that number. Also, you can see how you're adding on one each time with something other than your fingers using the number. So this is just a really, really great book to talk about the number word. As you see, it has the number, then the number word, then the quantity of what that number means. All 3 aspects in this story. So this is something that my kindergarten children, when I read stories to them, they love. And I can even give them black dots and say, see what you can make with this. Tell me how many dots there are. See what you can make a picture of to kind of work with their creativity some. Now, after we read 10 black dots and go over all the aspects of 10 black dots, we use some Unifix cubes. Well, this works with their fine motor skills as well as working on math concepts. We take the 4 primary colors. They get 5 of each. And we can use these to, first of all, use their little fingers and their muscles in their fingers to connect. That is a task that we take for granted as being easy, but it's something the child has to work at. Then we're going to take the cubes, and we're going to make patterns with them. So many different things you can do with this. What color? What pattern did I just make? Make 2 different towers. Which is taller? Which is shorter? So then you're hitting on measurement. You can explore with all different kinds of things. You can ask the child, okay, take your cubes and make me a tower with 2 cubes. Make me a tower with 4 cubes. So you're connecting that number to that quantity, where you could even use the number card maybe to show them a number. Say, okay, what number is this? Show me how many with your cubes. You also can take it to make positions. Something as simple as put the red on top of the blue. Take a yellow, put the yellow under the blue. You can continue this on and on with so many different ways with these children. They can make patterns. You could give them number cards. They could count out that many cubes and match it to the card. And you might say, oh, I don't have number cards at home. You can take something as simple as a playing card that you have at home. Tell them, match the number to the cubes. They could even put a cube on top of each one of these hearts to show one-to-one correspondence, how this is 7. You can, again, do measurements, longer, shorter, put them beside each other. Use the positional words, put something on top, put something below. All kinds of different patterns. Children don't just have to know the simple pattern that we call A, B, A, B. Children are expected to know lots of different patterns in kindergarten. They may need to know A, B, B. Then you continue on with A, B, B. They may need to know a growing pattern. A, B, B with 2, A, B, B, with that B being the growing part, to 3. So if you have a child that's more advanced, you can use these to go ahead and start practicing growing patterns, which is something in kindergarten that the children begin to explore with. My favorite part of the math lesson is the floor puzzle. I do love the cubes because we do use the cubes a lot in the kindergarten classroom, and they can be used for so many different things. But my favorite part is the floor puzzle. First of all, the children love this because it is a huge floor puzzle that goes all the way across the floor with big, sturdy, good pieces. Once you put the entire puzzle together, you will have a number line down at the bottom of the puzzle from 0 to 20. Then again, you can take your cubes and incorporate that in with the puzzle. Pick a number. Can you count out that many cubes for me and match it to this number? And then they can count out. If they have 18 cubes, they could put it on 18 if that's what you picked out. So you can use the bottom of the puzzle as a number line to help with number ID and quantities and the movement across a number line, because the children will be exposed to number lines in their math lessons in kindergarten. Then, once you get the puzzle put together, this is just such a great piece to use because, as you see, it has the number word, the quantity for each number. It's a beautiful, brightly colored puzzle, very sturdy. But the children can look and see, okay, this is 20. All right, this is how I spell 20. And then I can count each one of these grapes to understand the quantity of 20. My children love the floor puzzle. Even in my classroom, if there's extra time, if there's a reward, if there's anything that I could choose in my classroom that my kids love as an extra incentive, is the floor puzzle. Every time they want to get it out. They want to put it together. And kids don't do puzzles as much as they used to. They got so many electronics on hand. They don't do manipulative things like this with their hands. So they love to get together and try to figure out what shape goes where. Great resource right here, the floor puzzle. I love it. So the kids will, when I come that day, I'll bring the big bag full of all the different pieces, along with 10 black dots, bag of Unifix cubes with the 4 different colors in it, and the handout for the parent that tells them lots of good ideas that they can use with the floor puzzle, talking about the numbers, saying the numbers out loud, taking the Unifix cubes, making patterns, talk about the number sequences, how you add one more to get to the next number. Great resources. Another thing we do is we sing the song 1, 2, buckle my shoe. A lot of the kids know that. We talk about what the numbers look like as we sing the song. We also go over math standards. Yes, the kindergartners have math standards. Every year they're growing and growing. So we go over the math standards. And it gives them some other ideas too on the parent sheet, like what you can do when you're in the store. Ask for quantities. Little Johnny, will you get 2 cans of dog food for me and put it in the cart? Can you help me pick out 4 apples? To use the number quantities when you're outside of the home as well as inside of the home. Maybe when you're setting table, or if you're getting napkins out for a particular reason. I need 5 napkins. Can you help me? And get them to help count out things. Anything around the house that you can get them to do involved with numbers, number sense, number sequences, any of that. That is the foundation of math for a child. If a kid can get that in kindergarten, they have a great foundation for addition and subtraction. But if they don't understand numbers and they don't understand number sense, they're never going to understand addition and subtraction. You've got to get that foundation for them. So visit number 3 does a great job of helping a child at home to do that. We'll leave the materials, we'll leave the handout for the parent. All right, now we're going to lesson 4. Now, a lot of the children like this lesson because it's neat. They like these this lesson in particular. Lesson 4 is on science. We talk about the senses and we talk about things around us, getting them exposed to things with science. So when we come to the home, again, we will refer to our schedule, make sure that we've got it documented. We will have a parent handout, which I will go over. But the book is called My 5 Senses. And it's a good book that we read in kindergarten a lot. It goes through lots of different things. What I see, what I smell, what I taste, what I touch, what I hear. All the 5 senses. And it goes with the body parts. I touch with my fingers. I see with my eyes. I hear with my ears. I smell with my nose. I taste with my tongue. Most kids want to say, I just taste with, you don't taste with your lips, you taste with your tongue. We go through the 5 senses in this story and the corresponding body parts that go with it. Now, a lot of times I will take a Mr. Potato Head with me because in my classroom, that is something that I used in the classroom with my kindergartners. But after we would talk about the body parts, we would use a Mr. Potato Head to say, okay, show me which body part you see with, put it on the Mr. Potato Head. So if you happen to have a Mr. Potato Head at home, there's another resource that the child can use to talk about the 5 senses. Then we look at the little video clip of 5 little speckled frogs. And I tell them that we're going to talk about some things that we see in nature. We use our senses in nature, but let's talk about all the things that are in nature while we're talking about our senses. So we listen to the My Little Speckled Frogs. Depending on the Wi-Fi, we may watch a YouTube video on my tablet, or we may sing the song, or we may just discuss it, or I may just have the little song on a chart or picture, a book or something. But we go over that. Then again, I can review numbers. I'm going backwards, counting backwards from 5 because a frog jumps off each time. I'm taking one away. They don't realize it, but I'm introducing them to subtraction. But again, we can review the number ID that we have, and we can start the counting backwards. Then I show them this, and they love it. Everybody gets a magnifying glass. And they get to use this magnifying glass, and I tell them it's theirs because they are now a scientist. Scientists are people who discover new things, and then they research how those things work. So you can be a scientist or begin to be a scientist by using your magnifying glass. So we start talking about things that we see. Well, we could take our magnifying glass and look at our own skin if we wanted to and talk about us. We could go around the house and use our magnifying glass to talk about things that we see, what color they are. We could go outside if we wanted to and look at things. Now, usually what I'll do is I'll bring something in with me, whether it's a leaf or a rock or just anything around the house that I think we could have conversation about. Like, what color is this? How does it look? Well, let's look and see up close. Do we see something that we don't normally see if we don't have a magnifying glass on it? But some other ideas. You could take it outside and talk about the seasons. How do you know that it's spring? How do you know that it's summer? How do you know that it's fall? Look in your magnifying glass and show me something. You might could bend down and see an ant. Oh, there's an insect. Well, let's talk about what that looks like. Comparison. Compare the size of things. Talk about the colors of things. But we use this like scientists do to look closely at something, to understand it better. Again, in the house, you could use this to incorporate numbers and letters. Go around and see with your magnifying glass what numbers you can find. Do you see numbers anywhere? Well, they could find numbers on a calendar. They could find numbers on a telephone. They could find numbers on a cell phone. If they go in the kitchen, there's numbers at the bottom on labels. There's all kind of different numbers in your house. Do the same thing with letters to incorporate going back to the first Chicka Chicka Boom Boom lesson. Can you go around the house and find some letters? What letter does your name start with? My first name starts with a B. Well, can you go around the house and find a B somewhere else in the house? And they'll take their little magnifying glass and they'll go around and they'll do a letter search. You could do a scavenger hunt in your house. I want you to take the magnifying glass today, and I want you to go around and find things in the house that are hard. I want you to go around and find things that are bumpy. Go around and find things that are soft. All kinds of different things that you can use for a scavenger hunt to give the child something to do with a magnifying glass, and they absolutely love it. I also try to give them a connection of something whenever I leave that they can do after I leave. And another good thing with science, you could tell them to watch Magic School Bus videos, excellent videos on different things for science at a child's level, or Sid the Science Kid. That's another good one. And if they see him on the screen going around being a scientist with a magnifying glass, then they understand the purpose of the magnifying glass a little bit more because they can relate to it. But you could tell them, you just want to go outside and take a field trip. Let's go outside and we're just going to find different things that we can find in nature. We used to do that with my kindergarten class. We would go outside and see what senses were you using with the things that you're seeing. For example, if you see a bird, can you see it? Can you hear it? Can you smell it? Can you taste it? Can you touch it? So we would incorporate the senses to our science lesson with the magnifying glass. Can you see it better with the magnifying glass? Sure you can. But you might want to go out and just do different things outside. It could be a rock. It could be the grass. It could be an ant, a ladybug. Look at a flower that you have growing in your yard. But you can use this to compare things that you find in nature as well, like the sizes. Then again, you're using a math concept there. So science overlaps a lot. And the magnifying glass can be used for so many different purposes, not just science. If you see that your child needs more practice with numbers or letters, this is a perfect tool. And anything like this just gets them really motivated to want to try to find whatever it is that you're trying to work on with your lesson. Again, at the end, you would leave your parent sheet. Just follow up for the parents to talk to the children about what a scientist does. Maybe go to the library, check out some books. But with the resources you have at your hands on your tablets, you can look up different science videos. Like I said, you could use your magnifying glass inside or outside. All kinds of different ideas. Also, part of the kit has Play-Doh. Now, sometimes the Play-Doh is given with the book bag at the beginning because it's not actually incorporated into a lesson. But a lot of times I keep the Play-Doh and I use it during my 5 senses lesson because then we can talk about what color is it? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Close your eye and tell me how it feels. Of course, we're not going to taste it. It doesn't really have a smell. But we can talk about the different things that we can use in with our 5 senses with the Play-Doh as well. Next week, we will talk about visits 5 and 6, and we will discuss the things that will be in our kits for that. But as you can see, so many of these things build upon each other. Every time I come, put this in your book bag, keep this in your book bag so that you have all of these things to build upon. But they are also incorporated with things that you have in your home. Again, if you have number cards, simple as this, pull them out. Let them use them. They can use this for number sense. If you have dice around your house, same thing like with 10 black dots, pull it out. Let them see what the number means with the quantity. It's not just that number. What does it mean? They have to understand the quantity as well as identify the number. I think that's it for this week. And next week we will do lessons 5 and 6, and we will close up our countdown to kindergarten videos. I hope that you've enjoyed this and have gotten something out of it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.